Welcome to this podcast from Stratfor, leader in global intelligence.
Hello and welcome to Stratfor. I'm Colin Chapman. For the first time since President Barack Obama came to office, the United States is to engage in direct talks with Iran. The United States, alongside a number of other G8 countries, are to meet Tehran's chief nuclear negotiator on October the 1st to try and fathom whether the Iran government's offer of multilateral talks on a variety of subjects, including the world financial crisis and reform of the United Nations, can include discussion of the nuclear issue. It's not on the list that Tehran wants to discuss. I asked Dr. George Friedman, founder and chief executive of Stratfor, what he made of all this.
The Iranians have hinted that they are prepared to discuss nuclear program within this framework, so long as everyone understands they're not going to make any changes. The Iranians have been playing their old game, which is that first they delay to the deadline, then they agree to talks which are not on the subject which the West wants to discuss, then they hint that perhaps they will discuss it. And, this group of six that the Americans are dealing with are highly fractious. They consist of the Russians and Chinese who don't want to have any sanctions, the Germans who are very twitchy about anything happening. So the United States has to go the extra mile of indicating that it's prepared to talk to the Iranians under any circumstances. But to the moment, we have a little play going on that's been played out many, many times. It's not going to be the key.
So are the Iranians just playing games, playing for time?
I think the Iranians have learned in their mind that the West really doesn't want to do anything about the nuclear weapons. That's their core belief. That they have to give the West the indication that they are prepared to talk, and that the talks, once they take place, will substitute for any substantial action. So, in effect, the Iranians are going to want to have discussions over whether there will be discussions, and this will, in their mind, meet the Western demand for negotiations.
Where does that leave the Israelis, who've talked about really tough sanctions and possibly military action?
Well, the Israelis have said, and they've not been contradicted by the White House or the U.S. State Department, that they were promised that by the end of September there would either be substantive talks or else what they termed crippling sanctions. The crippling sanctions that everyone is talking about is a cutoff of gasoline sales to Iran. Iran is an importer of gasoline. If that were to not take place from the Israeli point of view, they've indicated that they would feel free to carry out airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. And that's what makes this entire discussion very different, even though I'm not sure the Iranians realize it is, which is that Netanyahu is, I think, quite serious that in the event there is not a significant movement forward on the nuclear weapons at this point, that he thinks that he has the green light from Washington on Iran.
Watch this space. Dr. George Friedman there. You can read a full analysis on this subject on our website at www.stratfor.com. I'm Colin Chapman. Thanks for joining me today.